Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Flying Lessons with Why Not the Tiger, yours truly. And this is going to be episode 1, the basics. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is the controls, the stick layout, the button layout. And I think nowadays, because of all the people that have mentioned any sort of tutorials about how to get better at a game, they'll mention sensitivity and the button layout and the stick layout. And the reality of the situation is, it's going to be kind of a cliche, but use something you're comfortable with. Use a sensitivity you're comfortable with, and use a stick layout and a button layout that you're comfortable with. I personally use a button layout, a stick layout that's very close to Ace Combat. It's the Legacy Southpaw. Basically, it most closely resembles the Ace Combat stick layout as far as how to control an aircraft. So, for me, the transition from a real flight simulator into a game like Battlefield 3 has been virtually seamless. Now, I can't say it's been 100% seamless, but for the most part, it has been a very smooth transition. The button layout itself is something I've had to get used to, but you know what? Hey, that's with any game. They're not going to be all universal, so you just have to get used to it. So, again, use something that you're comfortable with. What I will say, though, is that if you're finding that you don't have the controls that you desire, and if you're using like a default or maybe a lefty or a southpaw, those sort of button stick layouts, change to the Legacy. See how you like the Legacy better. You might find that you enjoy the controls that the Legacy gives you because it's separating the pitch and yaw and the roll. The pitch and yaw is the left stick, the roll is the right stick. So you get a little bit more control. It takes a little bit more coordination and a little bit more getting used to if you're not used to it already. But to me, in all honesty, it's worth it in the end. What I would also add to that is go to the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Marketplace, download the Ace Combat demo, and play that, at least the aircraft version of it, several times, and play it on the advanced flight characteristics without the aid, I think it is. Anyways, the reason why I say that is because if you play that for an hour, 2 hours, or whatever, you're gonna find that your flying has gotten significantly better. You're just gonna be used to the controls. So and it's also an environment where you can fail and not have to worry about the consequences of being shot down and waiting for, your teammates to not take your plane, stuff like that. So give that a try, play that, or you could always just pick up the game. I'm personally a big fan of Ace Combat, so I would say, hey, pick the game up. But if you're only going to be playing Battlefield, that's a nice tangent, huh? If you're only going to be playing Battlefield, just stick with that, but practice on something like a demo that you're going to find that it'll help you out a lot. Okay, now we're going to get into the basic movements of an aircraft, and you're going to notice on the stick layout it's going to have 3 terms, which is going to be pitch, roll, and yaw. And if you're not familiar with those terms, here they are, just the very simple definitions of the words. You've got pitch is going to be up and down movement of the aircraft. It's going to allow you to ascend and descend. The roll of an aircraft is going to be the roll of the aircraft. So if you think of, say, you're lying on your belly on the ground and you roll to your back and you roll to your belly, that's a roll. You're just going to be rolling. However, you're going to do it without actually moving left and right, And the last one's yaw. That is going to be the left and right movement of an aircraft. It's the rudder control. It'll move the aircraft slightly to the left and slightly to the right. It's not going to be huge like a car or something like that. So those are 3 terms you should get to know, and you should get to know those controls as best as you can, because it'll increase the effectiveness of your flying. But those 3 controls will perform 3 maneuvers that I think are the most important. There's a whole bunch of maneuvers out there. There's tons of them. Not all of them are going to be possible in a game like Battlefield 3, but the 3 that I think are very helpful are the split S, the Immelman, and the barrel roll. And basically the split S is, the split S and the Immelman are 2 ways to change directions. One, the split S starts at a high altitude, and you need to make sure that you have enough altitude to perform this maneuver, or you're going to crash into the ground. So you start out at high altitude, you're going to pitch over, you're going to pull the stick back, and you're going to go into a descent, and you're going to come out going 180 degrees the other way that you started. And the Immelman is the exact opposite. You're going to start at a lower altitude. You're going to pitch up. Once you get around and you see the sky, or excuse me, you see the ground above you, you roll back over and you keep going. So basically, both maneuvers are ways to change your direction 180 degrees. Except for one way, the split S starts at a higher altitude and goes low, and the Immelman starts at a lower altitude and goes high. The last one, the barrel roll, is just a roll. You're going to go up. You're going to pitch up, you're going to go up all the way, you're going to roll, and you come back, and basically you're going to end up going the same way that you started, except for you're going to have spent so much time, you know, rolling. Anyways, those are the 3 maneuvers that I feel are most useful in Battlefield 3. There, of course, will be variations on a theme when you get into, you start messing with the controls and you get familiar with the aircraft. But let's get into dogfighting. Alright, everyone's favorite thing, dogfighting. It's pretty much the only thing you can do in an aircraft if you don't have guided missiles or the rocket pods. Or if you don't have good teammates who like to spot tanks and stuff for you to try to shoot at. But for the most part, dogfighting is what you're going to end up doing 99% of the time if you don't have guided missiles and you don't have the ability to shoot at targets on the ground. So basically, the first thing you need to know is that every map has a service ceiling. There is a top of the map, there's a ceiling to the map. If you go up to that ceiling, you're going to stall and you're going to become a very easy target for somebody to shoot down. So you need to learn about how high the service ceiling is for every single map and try to avoid it. That's really the only thing I could say about that, because you will stall and you will get shot down, and I've stalled and I've gotten shot down that way, so I'm trying to make sure you guys, that doesn't happen to you guys. Missiles and guns. You need to know when to switch from your missiles to your guns. Typically, you know, it's like the old Top Gun, like, I'm switching to guns. When you're getting close, you need to switch to your guns. It's very hard, very, very hard without the beam scan to lock up on a target quickly. Sometimes, like the fail video I posted, it takes forever, or it doesn't happen at all. And if it does, it's there for a second and gone the next. So learn your guns, learn how to use your guns. Right now, I'm not even using heat-seeking missiles. I'm using the guided missiles with the guns and the radar. It's my favorite setup, so I don't even use the heat-seeking missiles anymore. They're easily defeated with flares, so you just get in close and use your guns. It's the most effective way to shoot somebody down. Not the most effective way to shoot choppers down, but it's just the most effective way to shoot normal other fixed-wing aircraft down. But know when to switch to them if you're going to use them. That way you're a much more effective combat pilot. The other thing you need to know is leading your targets. You need to know how to lead a target, and it's just sort of trial and error. It's sort of feeling it out like the blind. You'll see the crosshair on there, and you'll also see a circular ring that moves around, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, but the crosshair is what you want to use. You want to put that crosshair not on the aircraft, because everything has gravity in Battlefield, and if you're pulling G's, the gravity is intensified, so your shots will actually go behind the aircraft. You'll not get hit anyone. So you need to lead your targets, which means that sometimes you're shooting at an aircraft that you can't even see because it's below your nose. So anyways, basically the long and the short of it is you need to practice and just kind of get good at guessing and getting comfortable with how to lead targets. My personal philosophy is shoot a lot of rounds and burst, so you don't, you know, run out of ammo and you need to reload. So burst, shoot a lot. Don't be afraid to shoot, and you'll eventually shoot people down that way. So the only other thing I'll mention as far as like a basic, try to observe your enemy, see what their tendencies are, because people have tendencies. So if you look at your enemy, you see your enemy's tendencies, you can anticipate on where he's going to go from there. So anyways, that's my little blurb about dogfighting. I will get into more advanced dogfighting later on in another video. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about in this commentary is evasion, and I was going to include this into the dogfight section, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit more at length, so I made it its own bullet point. Here's pretty much the long and short of it is you want to be slippery. You want to be constantly on the move. If you've got somebody on your tail, you want to be moving, but you want to be moving with a purpose. You don't want to panic. You don't want to fly in circles. You want to be constantly thinking about where you're going, what you're doing, and how best you can lose this person. That could be using the terrain, that could be using the towers that are in the middle of the map, that could be using flares. You know, there are certain things you can do, and you'll learn this as you play, that you can use to get away from an enemy aircraft. The only other thing I could mention as far as evasion is you need to know where people are shooting at you from. If you're at a missile lock, are they shooting at you from the ground? Are they shooting at you from a helicopter? Or are they shooting at you from an aircraft? And there's certain ways you could tell. If you're juking and moving and dodging and a lock remains on you, there's a good chance that the person who's shooting at you is either a helicopter or somebody on the ground. And if you're sort of flying in circles in sort of a little pattern, you know, you're like, why aren't I losing, lock? It's probably someone on the ground who's looking up at you, or it's someone in a chopper. So the best thing to do is get out of there, fly off the map, turn around, come back into the combat zone, and more than likely the person who is trying to shoot at you will try to shoot at you again, so you're going to get a better idea of where they're at and you can kind of avoid them. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up episode 1 of Flying Lessons. I hope you guys found this informative, and look forward to the advanced dogfighting video that I'm going to be putting out here pretty soon. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them in the next commentary, or if I can answer them in the comment section, I'll do that. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll talk to you later.